Hello everyone, my name is Ng Ying, metric number 293518. In this assignment, I explore the Itaewon Halloween Stampede to analyze the legal situation in event management.
What happened at Itaewon? On the 29th of October 2022, over 130,000 people gathered in Itaewon's narrow alleys to celebrate Halloween. It was a spontaneous gathering. The result was a deadly stampede that killed 158 people and injured 196. Since 2010, Halloween has grown into one of the biggest informal major events in Itaewon, where people gather in costume on the street to watch shows available at clubs, bars, and restaurants. This tragedy shows that even informal events can carry high risk, especially in urban spaces like Itaewon. Legal liability issues. There was no official organizer in this case, so no one was held responsible under the standard event law frameworks. However, the police received 11 emergency calls reporting serious overcrowding, but failed to respond. These were foreseeable and preventable risks, and their failure to act was a breach of duty care. According to tort law, negligence occurs when a party fails to take reasonable care to avoid harm to others, and this case fits that definition. In addition, South Korea has no clear legal provision regarding public space safety obligations. Unlike the UK's Occupiers Liability Act 1957, where any party controlling a space must ensure it is reasonably safe for users. This has created a legal grey area within South Korea's legal framework. Public spaces are under government control, but there are no clear provisions to ensure safety during spontaneous major gatherings. Why did the law fail to prevent the tragedy? There are regulatory gaps and systemic failures. Although the Framework Act on the Management of Disasters and Safety, FAMDS, is under South Korea's main disaster law, it does not apply to spontaneous gatherings. This created a regulatory gap that police and firefighters were not authorized to intervene in advance without formal event registration. In comparison, the UK requires registration for any large public gathering. Another critical issue is the failure of emergency management systems. No crowd control plans were activated, no barriers were set up to redirect flow, and there was no coordination between police, firefighters, and health services, with the first official emergency response was at 10:43 p.m. after the disaster began. Unlike South Korea, the United Kingdom enforces crowd safety through the Green Guide, which sets crowd density and flow management standards for event approval. Legal consequences. Let's look at the actual legal consequences of the Itaewon tragedy. On the civil liability, victims' families sued the South Korean government, demanding 200 million won per person, under Article 5 of the State Compensation Act, which allows compensation when public officials fail in their duties. On the criminal liability, 23 government officials were charged with professional negligence resulting in death, under Article 268 of the Korean Criminal Code. However, in July 2023, the South Korean Constitutional Court rejected the impeachment of the Interior Minister, causing public anger. This tragedy also led to public trust in government, and urban safety is collapsing. Due to the gap between public demands and actual political action, emergency reforms to expand disaster laws have been submitted, including amendments to FAMDS, but none have been passed yet. Legal implications in event management. This case study shows that event laws must extend beyond registered events. Should the government have a duty to act, even when there's no organizer? The answer is yes. Event professionals feel more pressure on the approval process and personal knowledge development. Event professionals will face stricter safety regulations, especially for open, high-density areas, which means more difficult to get permits. They must understand public space risk, legal liability, and crowd control to build better risk management systems. When a city fails to manage crowd safety, it damages the entire event ecosystem and public image in the area. Artists and attendees avoid the location, and sponsors may pull out, fearing negative image and reputational risk. Proposed solutions. How to prevent another Itaewon? First, establish clear public safety responsibilities for spontaneous events, where police must protect citizens. Next, utilize technologies for crowd monitoring such as AI and CCTV. For example, Saudi Arabia uses facial recognition and density detection during the Hajj to avoid stampedes. Seoul's local administrative reforms include AI-based crowd monitoring and improved emergency coordination. Link police and local governments through an alert system when the crowd density is over 6 people per square meter. Raise public awareness to build a self-guiding crowd culture. In the long term, legislative reform is necessary to expand the scope of disaster laws to include spontaneous events in South Korea. Conclusion: the Itaewon tragedy was not a random accident. It was the result of legal loopholes and failed event risk planning. Without clear responsibility, no one acted immediately, resulting in many people's deaths. As event managers, we must look beyond contracts and focus on public space safety. Reflection:
This assignment helped me to grow in both legal understanding and digital skill. During the research phase, I explored news and government sources to find accurate and credible information. This improved my ability to evaluate sources and understand legal framework related to Itaewon incident. In analyze stage, I use tools like Google Scholar and AI to understand the details of this case and the possible solution to prevent such case, voice-over production, and how the crowd safety law affect us as an event professional. Finally, through platforms like Canva, KeepCut, and PowerPoint, I learned how to present and edit the serious legal topic more visually and effectively by using the short video and photo. So that's all from me.